Good afternoon, everyone. Monica Jazik here from Real Property Investments, bringing you your free weekly webinar that we host every Tuesday afternoon. I'm Monica, I'm your host of this webinar, and at Real Property Investments, we are here to help real people build real wealth through real estate and alternative investment products. But the purpose of these fun, free, motivational webinars really are to bring you some information and introduce you to some amazing people. And the number one aspect of wealth that we always talk about at Real Property Investments is mindset. And today we have Sandy Rutherford, who has joined us. Hi, Sandy. How are you today?
I'm awesome. Thanks, Monica. How are you?
You look awesome. You sound awesome. I'm awesome. It's a beautiful
Delighted
day.
to be here.
So excited to have you here. Sandy is a certified consultant and success coach and partner of RF Success Academy. So the reason we actually asked Sandy to come on today is, like I say, mindset is so important in regards to wealth building, but also important in regards to what we are experiencing right now with the COVID-19. We're operating largely in a time of uncertainty, and mindset and having a strong mindset is probably the number one thing people can work on and can build during this difficult time. So through these free webinars, we don't usually do these, Sandy, but we've been doing them since the start of COVID because we want to help people. And like we say, wealth is so much more encompassing than money. It involves health, it involves mindset, it involves information, empowerment, knowledge. So we are thrilled to have you here today.
Wonderful.
So just to give you guys a bit of background, if anyone does have any questions, you're free to type them in the Q&A box. We will be checking for questions and we can answer questions live. Sandy, you're okay with that, I presume?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So we met Sandy about maybe over a year ago. And we were actually invited to an event that had one of our favorite people in the event photo, which was Bob Proctor. So I'm sure everyone out there knows who Bob Proctor is. He is one of our, role models. He's actually really, really near and dear to our hearts because when Vaughn left his job 3 years ago, it took a lot of courage and a lot of mindset training in order to be taking this huge step, leaving a six-figure position to enter into the world of self-employment, where we're both self-employed. We had 4 small kids that we're raising here. It was terrifying. But he really kind of tapped into Bob. He actually had this book, was one of his favorites. You Were Born Rich. And we did this mind training every day. He was doing the mindset training. So I'll forever be grateful for Bob, for this book. We've read every single Bob Proctor book since. He is an absolute genius. So when we saw the invite to your event, we were there front row and center, and your message was amazing and it was empowering. And I was so moved by your story. I'm wondering if we could start off actually by quickly sharing your story and how you got into this world of coaching, and give us an idea of what Bob Proctor Success Coaching kind of stands for.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Monica. My story is not unlike a lot of people because I started off as a physio in sports and orthopedics. I was a highly sought after physio. And then after 6 years, I just needed to do something else. So I went back for an MBA and into corporate Canada and experienced very high level success there in the Royal Bank and in leadership at Deloitte Consulting. And I was a partner in an executive search firm. So all I'd experienced was success. And then about 12 years ago, I decided to switch to the entrepreneurial world because my youngest was diagnosed with some health issues. And I wanted to be home and flexible and available. And I thought, because all I'd ever known was success, I thought I'd be highly successful as an entrepreneur. And I was working with a couple of different friends of mine who had kind of some startup companies and needed some help. And I got into a little bit of network marketing too, because I know the key to wealth is multiple sources of income. So I thought, okay, I'll try that too. And I thought I would be one of these kind of $1 million entrepreneurs or highly successful entrepreneurs. And I was wrong. I struggled for quite some years, not for lack of effort. I was working very hard and I really wanted to create the success. I wanted to make it work. And as it wasn't working, I started to get into more personal development. So that's when I started to follow Bob Proctor and Tony, a little bit of Tony Robbins, but more John Maxwell and Darren Hardy were my kind of go-to guys. Love their stuff. Maybe this is you guys. You love their stuff. You get inspired and motivated. Oh yeah, I'm going to start doing this and that. And no, I didn't. I started a little bit, but nothing. I never picked up these fabulous habits of the uber successful. And so I didn't get a big uptick in my results, even when I'm thinking I'm doing all this personal development, and that was frustrating. Mm-hmm. And I started to get very down, because you start. The longer the longer your success eludes you, that somehow why aren't I achieving that success? The longer that continues, the more it's damaging your self-image and your self-confidence. And that was me. I started to get more and more back on my heels. And at my worst point, about 4.5 years ago, I thought, geez, was I ever successful, or was I just lucky and I just can't create success anymore? The luck's run out. And that's awful. It's an awful place to be. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things when the student is ready, the teacher's right there, because I woke up one morning in a fret. What am I going to do? And in came a message from Proctor Gallagher Institute, because I've been following Bob and John Maxwell and Darren Hardy and all their daily email stuff. That very morning, I woke up in a fret going, oh, what am I going to do? Because I just finished off working with a friend of mine. In came an email saying, do I want to be a coach with Proctor Gallagher, working with Bob? I went, whoa, what's this? I'd seen it numerous times. I just never paid any attention to that email. And so the rest is history in terms of I jumped on it, went, oh, this sounds perfect for me. And it wasn't until, Monica, I immersed into these powerful teachings of Bob's, and not just immersed into it, but I allowed myself to be coached, guided. Someone was there to mentor me and connect the dots and coaching me and hold me accountable, because we don't hold ourselves accountable. We let ourselves get away with lots of stupid things. It wasn't until I'm immersed in that everything changed dramatically. And so now I'm one of the top, say, 3% coaches working with Bob globally. And the only reason I say that is not to impress, only to impress upon everyone that success is a system. Mm-hmm. That there's a science and exact step-by-step of how success works, how your mind works, how you can take control and rise above all the stupid stuff you think's going on in your environment, the results you're not liking. And it is absolutely a step-by-step process, and it works for any of us. Any of us, doesn't matter.
What did you find that was like, after you kind of looked at this and you're like, wow, what did you find that was blocking you? I know that Bob talks about like blocks and paradigms and all these sort of things. What was like the reason? What was your block? And did you manage to overcome that block?
Yeah, absolutely. And I still work on it. And most people are still working on it, even Bob. Okay, so here's what I found about my situation. My self-image and my belief system and my habits were entirely aligned with structure, hospital mm-hmm. structure, corporate structure. So I just stepped into structure, and with my, personality and desire to do well and all that good stuff, boom, I just excelled. When I switched to the entrepreneurial environment, there's no structure. I had to create it. I had to go sell. I'd never sold before. Never. In all my whole journey, I'd never had to sell. So my self-image and beliefs and habits were totally aligned with structure, not with the entrepreneurial world. And as I started to really work on that, and I had to work on it, self-image, we at RF Success Academy, and we work with clients we work with clients through Bob's success system called Thinking into Results. It's a 6-month journey. It's a big journey. It's extraordinary. And with the additional stuff that we pulled in there to really enhance people's journey, because I don't sell programs, I sell a journey. If you want a journey with us to create, massive change in terms of success, we're going to show you how to do that. And part of that is what we call our success triad. And this is what I worked on myself, right? The success triad for anything you're doing, whether it's personally in terms of relationships, your health, whether it's professionally, the career you want, the money you want, success is the same thing. The triad is you've got to get crystal clear on what you want. Crystal clear and emotionally jazzed. Most of us, me included, my issue was I thought I was clear on what I wanted, but I was all in the intellectual. It was all in my conscious mind. I wasn't emotionally jazzed. Okay, so that's one, that clarity of desire, emotional. Secondly, your self-image needs to support that. My self-image did not align with being an entrepreneur and selling. It was totally aligned with corporate. So your self-image needs to shift to support that. And we're always working on self-image. Every single one of us has a limited self-image. Bob still works at the age of 85. He looks about 70 and he acts about 50, and he's still out doing all his program stuff. He still works on a self-image every time he sets new goals.
I think everyone always needs to work on their self-image. I mean, I know we all know kind of like some of those people that are overly confident, and it's almost amusing to watch, because it's almost like they're talking at you, and it's almost like not even like a human being. It's almost like a robot. But then for people that have kind of the training that you have, and just full transgression here, I was actually in my first career supposed to be a family and marriage therapist. So I went down that whole psychology, sociology, family, child studies background. That was where my education started before I ended up getting a master's in teaching. And so it is funny when you do know people, the best people. I think you're right, Sandy, like with people and their mindset, it's a constant quest for improvement. It's not really a destination. Like you said, it really is a journey, because when do you actually, I think when you actually stop, is when you stop growing. And as we're constantly going through new things, like now it's COVID-19, right? This to a lot of people too is a whole very strange part of their journey. And do you think a lot of people are learning different aspects of themselves during this time in regards to their character, in regards to the resilience? Like, what has your experience been, even with your clients who you were kind of working for before COVID-19, and all of a sudden this has happened? Have you seen progress or a lot of backlog, or more of the same?
No, well, what's been phenomenal is I've seen a lot of progress, because everybody's forced to get more creative. And all of us have a powerful imagination. We don't tap into it nearly enough. But that is how you start creating new ways of doing things. You use your imagination. And we're part of our community at our Success Academy is we're masterminding with each other. We're brainstorming. Oh, what else could you do? People's needs have changed dramatically during COVID-19. So how can you address those needs? How can you step up? How can you serve? It is all about service. So the amount of creativity I've seen has been phenomenal. And the other thing is, a really good rule of thumb is the more challenging the time, the more you need to delve into your own personal development. Because that's going to show you, the best of the best will multiply their efforts in personal development, self-growth stuff, because the more you understand who and what you are, how capable, how incredible you are, the more you can shift, pivot, understand that everything's going to be okay. You can shut out the noise. You can stay focused and create more for yourself. And the faster you'll not only come out of a challenging time, but thrive in a challenging time. And that's what we're seeing with a lot of people. Not everyone, but most of our clients, because they're locked in with us. We're arm in arm. We're all doing this together. Our motto is together we thrive. So we are doing this together and brainstorming with each other, holding each other accountable, celebrating the different wins, the new experiences going on, and we're doing more and more work to make sure we're shutting out that noise, which is pretty loud right now on the negative.
Yes. Well, it can be very loud and very overwhelming. And a lot of people, they don't view change as a good thing. It scares you. It puts them in a place, like Tony Robbins would say, of uncertainty, and people want uncertainty. And I love how your systems actually give you that certainty as well. And see, because I'm totally opposite to you, which is really funny, is the two of us are polar opposites here. Whereas all I've ever been was an entrepreneur. And I think if I went in the corporate world, I'd probably last one day before they fired me. I don't even know if I'm able to follow instructions. I'm the one that more writes down the instructions and then gets everyone else to follow instructions. So I totally love how we have these opposite, personalities, except for the fact that we have both been so impacted by Bob Proctor, and we're so highly influenced by the same type of training. It shows that all different types of people, entrepreneurs and even non-entrepreneurs, can really benefit from working with a coach like yourself. Can you describe to me what your average client is like who could benefit from mindset coaching? Is it just entrepreneurs, or could people who are just everyday people who are looking to improve themselves benefit from this type of training?
Anyone, it's a great question. Anyone who really wants big change in their lives, right? So I work with entrepreneurs, absolutely. I work with network marketers. I work with people in jobs, in the corporate world. I work with CEOs and executives. I work with real estate agents, insurance brokers. I work with young people and older people, right? My oldest clients are in their mid-60s. One's a farmer in Saskatchewan. Another one has shifted out of his corporate environment and was looking for something new, right? Just doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what walk of life, what age, doesn't matter. It's just, do you want to create something bigger, better, newer in your life? Then we're going to show you how to get there. We're going to show you how to get clear on what that is. That's the desire. We're going to align your self-image with that. And the third part of that triad was commitment. Right? You need to commit fully, no excuses. Well, guess what? Most people who are watching this, you have excuses. So did I. But once you understand, if your self-image is aligned with your goals, then you're willing to commit more. If your self-image is not supporting your goal, you're not going to commit. So that's why that triad is just so important. And so anyone can benefit from working. You get those three things aligned wherever you are in life, you're going to experience a big change in the results you're getting.
I think anything you put focus on and make that a priority. I know we're wealth coaches. We help people build wealth, and people have to make that commitment. They have to make that commitment towards themselves. They have to put it in focus. They have to do the work. They have to attend training sessions. I think it's just like everyone wants to lose weight, but no one follows the system of the diet. And then they wonder, hey, why aren't I losing weight? So it's incredible that everyone, I do think I am totally into personal development, not just because of our background with it, but because I am committed to it. I mean, every single day, my day starts off with the mindset training. And I think anyone watching us out there, if you're not doing mindset training, I mean, if you do not control your mind, it's going to run away from you with some pretty wild thoughts, and they're kind of nasty sometimes, these things that you come out of your mind,
and even more so now.
Oh dear.
More so
well now people are forced to sit still, and I think now people are forced to sit with themselves. And when you have a lot of people out there, and tell me guys if this is you, it's a lot easier to stay busy and distracted than to really sit with yourself as a human being and digest who you really are. What is that person? Where's that person that's lost under all these labels that we give ourselves and these titles that we give ourselves? Who are you? What do you value? What do you stand for? Because everything has been stripped away from us. Everything that we work towards, all our material things. How many of you are not driving your cars now? Worked so hard for my car. Been sitting in the garage for 2 months. What about your status symbols? What about your fancy clothes, or what makes you feel like who you've been? We can't wear our fancy clothes anymore. We can't see people. Our country clubs are closed. Our cars are parked. I think it really kind of delves into the people, of the exploration of who we are. And I think the mind is a really, really kind of dangerous place. And we do attract, what we put out there. Now, I think I attracted you, Sandy, because, any time I see something with Bob Proctor, I pay attention to that. And that actually brought me to your seminar. Could you talk more about, a bit more about the law of attraction?
Absolutely. There are there's 7 primary laws. First of all, a law means that it's a concept that applies to every person, every time, everywhere. It's not that we choose sometimes, does this apply to me? No, it's operating and being applied to us at all times. And there are 7 universal laws, and there are a whole bunch of primary laws, and then there are a whole bunch of secondary laws. So one of the key primary laws is the law of vibration. The secondary law supporting that is the law of attraction. But just to explain, when you understand law of vibration, then you more fully understand the law of attraction. And this is based on science. This isn't magical woo-woo, right? Einstein taught us a lot of this stuff. Everything in this universe, so far as we know and understand, is energy. And a property of energy is that it's vibrating on different frequencies. And that includes our thoughts and our feelings. That can be mapped with technology. We can see the energy flow of thoughts, feelings. So our thoughts and feelings are vibrating in different frequencies. And another property in terms of physics, a law of physics, is that you can only attract on the frequency you're on. You can only attract what's on the same frequency. So Monica, if you wanted to attract me to call you, I'd have to get on your cell phone frequency to reach you, right? Cell phone frequencies, there's zillions of them, right? So the same goes in terms of the law of attraction. Therefore, you can only attract on the frequency you're on. Now, most people, this is neuroscience research shows us that our results that we're getting personally and professionally are fully a reflection, like almost 100% a reflection of our programming. That's subconscious programming, self-image and beliefs and habits and attitudes. So whatever your programming is, you're attracting on that level. So if your self-image isn't supporting, like say you wanted, this was me, okay, this was me. I wanted to be successful as an entrepreneur, but I couldn't stand myself as a salesperson. I used to say, I'm not a salesperson, that's not me. Ugh. So I was on a low frequency relative to being highly successful, confidence, comfortable being in selling. I was at a lower frequency going, oh, I don't really like this. Well, I'm not going to attract clients to me if I'm, right? So that was my issue in terms of selling. I was on a lower frequency and I could only attract on the frequency. And that's with most people. In fact, I have a course tomorrow, a webinar tomorrow, how to ensure success in sales. And we get at a little bit of this. It's so important.
Oh, I want to go to that. Send me the link for that.
I'll send you the link. But it's because you are where you are in your life because of your programming, and you can only attract what that programming is all about. So dream goals or higher levels of success are at a higher frequency. If you want to attract
let's go back into that frequency, because you keep saying frequency and frequency. A lot of people might not know what that means. So let's talk about what frequency, and I know Mary Morrissey, we did some of her stuff as well. She was amazing in explaining this as well. Let's talk about what frequency in regards to, it's every feeling pretty much is equated to a number. So are you a low frequency or are you a high frequency, right? So let's talk about where those low frequencies are. So that would be what, like fear?
Yeah, sure. It's fear, doubt, worry, negative thinking, right? COVID
yeah,
is creating a worldwide energy at a lower frequency right now. Like, oh my God, what's happening? Oh, right. And you can feel it. If you just go there, like, what if I lose my job? What if I can't pay my bills? Oh, you can feel that sinking feeling, that lower frequency, anger, resentment.
After people are on that, then what you're saying is they're feeling like angry and resentful, worried, uncertain. So all their thoughts are attracting things that are going to generate more of the same. So it's not like all of a sudden you're going to go from, I am so worried and depressed and uncertain, I won lotto. It's going to be more like, I'm so worried and depressed and uncertain, and here's a letter from my boss. They're reviewing layoffs. Now I'm worried about these layoffs. I'm worried about, my wife leaving. Oh, she's picked a fight with me. Oh, my kids are. I think that is that where most people, would you say, are kind of in these lower negative
Absolutely.
frequencies? This is why most normal conversations, maybe Sandy, this is probably why I never had a job, because I can never go to the water cooler and have these conversations. How are you? I'm sick. You
Yeah.
know, I'm bored.
Yeah.
The weather's awful. It's raining. I can't do that. It's just too whatever. So obviously I do try to have the higher frequency. Let's talk about those really high frequencies. So what would that be? Joy,
elation, happiness, excited, jubilant.
and when you
Right?
can turn that on and you can feel that shift. Like I want everyone to picture their body like a thermometer, and you
Yeah.
want to aim for these high feelings. And we do our breathing in the morning. I'm literally physically reaching for
Yeah.
joy, for love,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
gratefulness. Even though sometimes, guys, secret, sometimes I don't feel great all the time. You know, we're human. Do you ever feel you get in those slumps? And you can
Sure.
actually shift. I feel gross and sad and depressed, and you kind of see things spiraling out of control. People, I love it. They can actually turn that shift on in their head. It's almost like a switch. Like, I'm going to choose to stop feeling scared, uncertain, lonely, mad, angry, and I'm going to choose love. I'm going to choose joy. I'm going to choose gratitude.
Right.
Now, full disclosure, Sandy, before you started doing your Bob Proctor training, before you entered this world in coaching, I know do you feel like you kind of admitted already, you're sort of walking the walk, but you weren't really talking the talk. Where were you on your internal barometer of, of frequency 99% of the time before you really shifted over?
Oh, well, I had continued to go down, down, down because the success was eluding me. And so my self-image was getting more and more dinged, right? And I was doubting myself more and more. I was worried about, fulfilling work for me or the income or whatever more and more. So it was just monopolizing my mind. So, and most of the time, we're always imagining, we're always imagining something. The unfortunate thing is most of us are imagining what's not working, right? Visualizing what's not working and what we want to happen that isn't happening. And that, as you're visualizing that, that's bringing down your energy as well. So, most of us are dwelling on that doubt and worry in the conscious mind because we're thinking about it. That plays out emotionally as fear. That plays out in the body as anxiety. And if you stay on that route, depression, disintegration, right, disease. So that's the negative side. So we work with people to get to the positive side. And we always have choice about what we're dwelling on. What we're dwelling means to repeatedly think about. We always have choice, but we don't tend to be aware what we're thinking about.
Yes,
So
I
to
think
your
people,
earlier
they let
comment,
their
Monica,
mind run away with them for sure.
well, yeah,
You
and
get
you
that
had
coach to hold them accountable, to get them controlled.
yeah. I mean, you had a great earlier comment that, none of us can stay at a high vibration or high frequency or high energy all the time. Law of rhythm is another law of the universe, a primary law that, of course, everybody has a downturn and we go back up. The thing is, the more and more you're learning this and immersing yourself into this material, your awareness, everything is awareness. Your awareness starts to go up and you can catch yourself going, oh, hang on, why do I feel like I'm lower today for some reason? And you go, well, I'm dwelling on something. Maybe it was a presentation that I didn't feel like I did as well on yesterday, or a prospect didn't sign up, or you had an argument with your spouse, or whatever it is, right? Oh, that's why. And so you can course correct. And that's the beauty of it. We all have this. All of us do. But those of us in this material are more aware of it, and we can course correct more quickly so we come out of it by imagining. Like I always use it when I give seminars, I say, just imagine you 5 times your income by the end of this year. Yeah, this year, 2020. Just imagine you did that. What would you do? What impact would you have? How would you feel? What would be the impact on your family? Would you be traveling? What would you be celebrating on like, as soon as I talk like that, you can feel your energy rising, right? Mm-hmm. Well, we have that control.
So do you train people, say if someone came into one of your seminars, you train them to walk them through this visualization activity of feeling the success. They actually feel it. And then do you teach them how to tune into that when they wake up one day, they feel down in the dumps, say whatever, to kind of stop and go, listen, I'm going to mentally reset,
Right.
I want to feel like whatever. So I'm going to just stop my thinking right now. And I'm going to think back to that time when Sandy told me to think about me with my 5 times my income. How am I going to feel? And then you can sit with that. And that kind of lets them reset their thoughts. Because what does Bob say? He says, thoughts become actions. Actions become It's
So
sort of
thoughts become
a learning.
feelings, thoughts
Yes,
become feelings, feelings become actions, actions drive results. It's as
I
simple as
love
that. So
that.
you got to shift your thinking, right?
Were you scared at all when COVID came, or were you just?
No. And I remember we were, as coaches, we were on a call with Bob one day, it's probably about 6 weeks, 8 weeks ago now. And someone asked, one of the coaches asked Bob, so Bob, because Bob's 85, Bob, how are you dealing with COVID? He said, coronavirus. How are you dealing with this coronavirus thing? And Bob said, Corona what? He obviously knew what it was and he knows how to be safe, but boom, other than that, he says, I'm not giving any mental energy to that. That's just pulling me down. So I was like, oh, yeah, me too. Yes, sir.
It's
Right?
true. It's really
Absolutely.
true. Do you think that one problem that we could be having as a society is the worry about the virus could be forming almost a collective consciousness that in turn is causing an even bigger shift? Because I know Bob's greater picture, really, and I know this goes alongside like Eckhart Tolle and if you read all these people, Tony Robbins, like you're saying, Jim Rohn, Eckhart Tolle, like Bob Proctor, it's amazing. All the messages are so aligned.
Yeah.
Even the Bible.
Yes.
The Bible actually is
The
so
Bible,
aligned.
the Quran, the Torah, it's a lot of the same messaging. We become what we think about, that we all have unlimited talents, giftedness, potential, capability. Every single religion supports that. And science does, right?
It's
Absolutely.
amazing. And it
Yeah.
never comes from an influential perspective. I only say the Bible because I've never read those other books. But I do believe in religion, and I don't believe in the worship of one particular religion. I think it's the overall, impact of a higher being and a creator that in turn all religions are, even though you may practice one particular faith, I have equal respect for every single faith or anyone's belief systems
Sure.
operating, because I think it's such a beautiful message and it never comes from these rules or restrictions. It always comes from the same messages. And all the great thought leaders back in time are all pulling from these messages. One of my favorite books is the Prosperity Bible. If any of you out there have not read the Prosperity Bible, Sandy, have you read the Prosperity Bible?
I have not. That's on my list though. Yeah.
Wow. It's the size of a phone book. Actually, Think and Grow Rich is one of the novels in there. But if you want to train your brain, I've been reading that. It's about a 2,000-page book.
Yeah.
And I've read it a few times. So I do an avid reader training. But it's amazing, these messages, because I believe what you're saying, Sandy, is that what we're thinking, it controls the thoughts, controls the actions, and it really kind of creates that shift. And we're hoping that more people, partake in these ways, because no offense, people, 90% of people really kind of are downers, and they're operating in that lower vibrational frequency to the point that it's almost been a huge impact on socialization. What do people normally talk about? Their problems, their ailments, rather than being solution driven. It's more, basically drawing energy off these negative conversations, and which really prolongs their condition, because
Absolutely,
if you don't change it, then
Right.
you're going to get the same results.
And I'm sure you've heard this very common phrase, we are the average of the 5 people we spend time with. Right. And a lot of us have gone into some personal development work, and it's uplifting and you feel good. And then you go back home with your spouse or friends or colleagues, and most people are not into this kind of material, and they pull you right back down again because they're thinking down here. You just rose up here, but they're back. It's like, oh, so a lot of people ask me that question. How do I stay up? I said, well, you have to make choices. Some might be that you are now going to choose not to spend time with certain people in your life who are very negative. If that's a spouse, that's a different issue to deal with. But more often, it's friends and some of the colleagues and that sort of thing. But it's an important choice to make, because you want to choose a higher vibration. That's where joy is and happiness, as we went through, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you have a lot of people that come to you and are like, I'm just trying to do what you say, but my friends, my family are kind of dragging me down?
Yeah.
And so what do you kind of advise them to do? It's not like forget your family and forget your friends, do they tend to automatically kind of outgrow them anyways? Because you can't and this is another thing people are watching. You can't preach to people who don't understand. It's,
No.
you sound like a crazy person, and they're going to say that Bob Proctor's brainwashing you. He's forcing you. Sandy, the brainwasher, is filling your head, and now you're crazy. And sometimes you do feel crazy, because knowledge is power, and you kind of look people. It's like a bird's eye view. When you're in it, you don't realize it so much, but when you elevate and you look and you're like, okay, this is, perpetuating your situation, and I don't want to be a part of this. It really kind of, Like, do you have a lot of clients who come to you and say that?
Absolutely. That gets very, very common. And you can only work on you, right? As you just said, you can't force stuff on other people. No one wants to be forced into doing anything. So the only thing you can do is work on yourself. And we also, so as you're working on yourself, especially in this material, as you start to understand your own programming and how we think and feel and act or behave and results come out of that, then you start to see other people with the same understanding of understanding yourself. So that helps you be more patient, for one. But there's also other tools that we work with that help people get through those kinds of circumstances that are so common with other people trying to pull you down. And one is it's called the number one key to success is called impression of increase, which is making people better off. So if you stop and realize that, and it's another teaching in Bob's material and what we're doing, is that whatever anybody's doing, don't spin it negatively. It just is. It's energy you are seeing. It's energy in motion you're seeing. So don't spin it positively or negatively. It just is. So harvest the good, forgive the rest, and move on. And in the moving on, if you leave someone better off, even if they're pissing you off, if you somehow genuinely just, thank you, I appreciate you bringing it up, and I'll give that some thought. But you move on, but you still leave them better off. Your controlled behavior, instead of reacting, if you're responding in a measured way, you're staying centered and grounded. Law of cause and effect. You will have an effect on the people that are negative, and most people will start to rise up a little bit more towards where you are. Not everybody, but
they might. You have a better chance rather than sinking to their level. So let's pretend I actually had a job. I actually was responsible, got hired. Thank you for the person who took a chance on me, taking a chance on an unknown kid. I'm at the water cooler. My frequency is 500. I'm full of love. I'm full of joy. I'm full of whatever. Someone comes there having more of a generic conversation. See, I probably shouldn't even have said that. That's judging, isn't it? Saying most people do this and most people do that. Maybe someone came and they're talking more about their conversation about, their frequency is a lot lower. They're having a day of uncertainty. I feel sick. Hi, I'm not feeling well. It's always my joints. It's because of this rain. It's acting up, or maybe they're a bit more combative and saying like, why did you do that in this meeting? It felt like you interrupted me and you weren't honoring what I'm saying and whatever. So rather than engaging, I guess, with that person, are we most important to stay on our own frequency and then try to find the positive? Do you kind of talk to yourself a lot? I know it's crazy. Actually, guys, it's not crazy unless people start answering you. But are you kind of like, okay, stay in love, I'm in joy. I'm in love, I'm in joy. And just kind of smile and nod and then say, that's fantastic. Or how do you kind of...
or Bob says, that's it. Bob talks about that water cooler conversation. And he'll just say, that's interesting. And then change the subject.
So he
change
doesn't
the subject even more.
When you get engaged on the frequency, then they are in control. They're kind of bringing you down.
Right. So you stay in control.
What if someone said to me, Monica, real estate investing does not work and you're going to lose all your money? What would you say? Or what would Bob say?
Bob would probably say,
interesting.
Well, that's interesting. I don't have that point of view. I actually view that really, way more positively, and here's why. But I appreciate that you're bringing me some information that maybe I should think about. I appreciate you doing that. Thank you for that. I really like it when people like you come to me and give me a different perspective. So thank you for that. But where I've been with this, and I start to move higher with that, right? So I love
that. So you acknowledge them first, and then you kind of bring them in. Like, so thank you. I'm so glad you're concerned about me and my
Sure.
destined
Right.
for failure. Thank you for your lack of confidence. No, no, thank you for your
Don't
concern.
spin it that way, though. That's a negative spin, right? It is what it
It
is, right?
is. See, that's what I have to work on. I guess you get cynical in the world of everything too. And you really got to, I think everyone's opinion and is, what do they say? Opinions are like armpits. Everyone has them and some smell more than others. But,
I haven't heard that one for a while.
I think everyone comes with something to a conversation. You're right. Like we can get control of ourselves. And especially for you people out there who are looking to improve yourself. And if you feel it's like that crabs in the bucket, people are trying to keep yourself elevated. Don't look at their, remarks or anything that may appear like they're bringing you down. Take it as concern. And I think something to be grateful for would be, how loved you are to have people around, have people that actually care about you. And you should thank them for caring about you and thank you for their concern. You can see where that happens. But actually, have you ever thought about this? And I think that maybe that you're right, Sandy, that can really kind of help people and help people not only elevate yourself so you're alone on this great level, but help you share with other people in your network. And that is when for true change to occur, we got to be on this collective consciousness. Yes, we need gratitude.
We're talking about gratitude. Yeah, we talk about gratitude a lot. It's a game changer. It raises your vibration like that when you go into the why am I grateful. So I actually wear this on a lanyard. This is my goal card. So my big, huge goal is on one side and gratitude's on the other. So it's constantly reminding me, gratitude. Oh, what am I grateful? I'm so grateful that Monica's invited me on to have this conversation today. Right? There's always something to be celebrating and be grateful for. It's powerful.
Exactly. And are you going to talk about this in your course tomorrow? Can you share a screen? Give us, like, if someone was to jump on, and this is a free webinar. This is tomorrow. And what are people going to experience in this webinar? Because I want to come on. And I know what you're saying about the selling. I agree with you, because this is what also you focused on at the webinar I went to as well. And I've been really trying to follow your skills and your things, because I think one of my paradigms selling is sleazy, but it's not. It's sharing and it's helping. And if you don't tell people who you are and what your offer is, how do you help people? So could you tell us a little more about what to expect tomorrow?
Sure.
When, where, time?
It's at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon, and it's just an hour. It's called How to Ensure Success in Sales. And you're absolutely right. Selling is sleazy. Selling is pestering people. All this negativity around selling. Most people are dealing with that. And so one of the things, or the kind of the key things we're going over in this webinar is understanding a little bit how we're programmed at a very high level, right? Just understanding that our programming, as we talked about earlier, our programming affects how we feel. How we feel is just a word for our vibration. If I'm feeling ecstatic, then I'm talking about my vibration is high. If I'm feeling depressed or upset, my vibration is low. So we're going to show you a little bit how that works and how that drives our results. And then in selling, you got to make sure that you're not sending mixed signals. In that, if I'm thinking, oh, okay, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to meet with this person this afternoon. And I'm thinking, okay, I know my stuff. I understand what I'm selling. And I'm doing all the right behaviors. So I'm greeting the person. I'm welcoming them. I'm looking them in the eye and asking how they're doing. So I'm thinking and behaving well, but my feelings are going, oh, I'm going to blow it. They're not going to sell it. They're not going to sign up with me. Right? That's sending mixed signals out. That's chaos. Mm-hmm. And people will respond, law of cause and effect. The effect that will have on your prospect is like, I just don't feel like it's right to sign up with you right now, whatever that is, right? So that's one of the key aspects in selling, and that we'll go over tomorrow. And the other key one that you just landed on is I tell people, stop using the word sell. It's about impact. Mm-hmm. Selling has a negative vibration attached to it. Impact, we all want to help people. That is part of the human condition to want to help. So when you're thinking, okay, instead of going, I need to make the sale today, it's like, how do I impact this person today? right? And when you're on the impact side, even if they're not ready to buy from you, you've impacted them positively. So they'll say, you know what, now's not good timing, but can we connect? I really want to talk about this again in a month. Or they might say, it's not for me, but I've got someone that I could refer to you. I really appreciate what you talked to me. Impact is positive. It's a better vibration. And that's important in selling. Selling is a mental, physical energy. It's a mind, it's thoughts, feelings, and actions, right? All combined. So that's what we're going over tomorrow.
I love that. I'm excited. I'm going to be there. So it's 4:30 Eastern Standard Time.
It is.
Tomorrow, which is Wednesday, May
27th.
7th.
Yep.
Lose track of day. I'm in the COVID isolation. I'm losing my track of days. So yeah, so Wednesday, May 27th, 4:30. Do you have a screen to share where people can find more about Sandy, Rutherford, and about the RF Success Academy?
Sure. I don't think I can while you are.
I could stop. Yeah. I could share. See, I learned that. See, sharing is caring.
There we go. So share screen. First of all, that's the rfsuccessacademy.com is our website that you can go in and check some of the programs. The Selfimage program, I was talking about Selfimage earlier. It is a 6-week intensive that blows the mind. Our clients are just over the moon with this course. So it might be something you want to check out. But let me just go to...
Personally? Or them? My self-image is not good?
We all need to work on self-image. Can you see this screen?
It's a very cute picture of yourself and your wonderful business partner.
Yeah, this is Karen Fiorina. She's my business partner. She's friggin' awesome. So
it looks like she's a lot of fun. You girls, do you guys get up to a lot of trouble?
We have fun. Yeah, we have fun.
And you're just leaving it at that. Okay.
So tomorrow, if you want to find out the secret, whatever you think and feel about selling affects your results, that you have clients and prospects who want to buy from you if you work on your mindset, and how to multiply your sales results by learning how to think and operate like top salespeople. That's what you're going to work on tomorrow. Okay, really gets you in. It's going to be interactive too.
I love this.
So what I can do is just put on, I'll put this in the chat. Is that a good idea?
That's a really good idea. Thank you. And I'll share it because we want people to really, guys, this is the time that you have to take advantage of experts like Sandy, who's actually offering free information on how you can really improve yourself. And, you know, quite often, Sandy, you don't have to be doing this. I mean, I'm sure you would impact a lot of clients. So it's really wonderful that you are able to, you know, offer this to so many people. So let's pull this up here.
There we go.
Yeah, that you're able to offer this to so many people. And this is really what we at Real Property Investments is trying to achieve. Normally we have events every month, but they're usually for our members, or people have to buy tickets. They're usually about real estate and wealth building. But when COVID-19 hit, there was a lot of uncertainty. And we know a lot of people are at home. A lot of people are still just as busy, and they're at home dealing with uncertainty. There are a lot of other people who are out of work now, or their job is temporarily paused. They have more time on their hands. Guys, the universe has given us a timeout, and this is a time to really sit still and dig deep. And if you're not comfortable sitting still and not doing and not performing, then you really need to really tap in to your inner self and really kind of rediscover who you are as a human being, what is important to you, and what do you stand for. This does not happen without training. Just like a sculpted body will not happen without a daily workout regimen and diet, a positive mindset, a positive, productive mindset to make you into the human being where you can actually not only help yourself, but help others, just even through modeling. Because when we have this productive mind, we're able to give back. We all have gifts, and when we have a good mindset, it allows us to be so excited with ourselves and want us to share our gifts, have that confidence, whether it's selling, whether it's informing, whether it's motivating people. We all need to make an impact on this world. So I thank you so much, Sandy, for your time and for coming on this webinar. I'm loving your energy. You are putting me at a total 500 now, because I'm just so grateful. And what I would write in my gratitude journal is the fact that I get to talk to amazingly smart, interesting, and authentic people every day, and also, learn from them to develop myself. And that makes me a better wealth coach in the terms that I can help other people, deal with what they're working through and celebrate their wins, and also continue to challenge them so they can have an amazing mindset, an amazing life, because mindset is connected to wealth. You could have all the money in the world and still have a poor mindset.
Absolutely.
Just cannot, you're not wealthy.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
amazing. I'm excited. I am going to be there at your coaching session. I love following you. And I'm going to include your link below. This has been recorded, and we'll definitely where everyone can find Sandy. Thanks for sharing that information. And thank you guys for really taking the time out to meet with myself, to meet with Sandy. And good for you. You're action takers. You took time out for your day. We will send you a follow-up email thanking you for coming out and letting you know a little more about real property investments. But thanks, everyone. And thanks again, Sandy. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.